Good morning and welcome back to EU Deal After Brexit. My name is Mathilde Haas, and in today's episode I have the pleasure of welcoming two experts that will talk to us about two very different topics. Firstly, we welcome Lèna Degobert, who will talk to us about the impact of Brexit on human trafficking. And secondly, we welcome Lola Rebollo, who will talk to us about the impact of Brexit on farm animal transportation. Well, thank you for both of us for being with us today.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you for having us.
Firstly, Lèna, could you tell us why you have elected human trafficking to depict one of the multiple consequences of Brexit?
Well, contrary to some strong beliefs, human trafficking does exist everywhere, including in Western developed countries, and the UK is no exception. And it is known in the UK as modern slavery, and to decipher the significance of such phenomenon, it is sufficient to look at EU primary law that defines human trafficking, and I quote, as a particularly serious crime with a cross-border dimension.
So being a EU member state helps inhibit human trafficking?
Yes, because the European Union has adopted a broad spectrum of legislative measures, and including the famous EU Trafficking Directive. And these laws are designed to, firstly, to prevent this crime from occurring, to protect potential victims, and to prosecute the perpetrators through an enhanced cooperation with many EU tools and instruments.
Could you give us an example to demonstrate that this fight falls within EU policy?
Of course I can. The epitome of the fight against human trafficking is high labour standards coupled with the free movement of people. Otherwise, restrictive migration policies with a labour market that favours deregulation and flexibility. This adversely creates the perfect environment for human trafficking to thrive. And in that sense, the EU has built a great framework.
Sure, and it is true that the EU helps to promote human rights as well. Just to build on what you are saying, what impact does Brexit have on the efficiency of the UK in tackling this modern issue?
Well, since the UK was a member state of the European Union, it mostly complied with EU laws. But Brexit could mean the end of the influence of the European Union on the laws of the UK. And moreover, it could be also the end of the cooperation between the bordering countries. And unfortunately, human trafficking is a transnational crime, and a cooperation between bordering countries is deeply needed.
I understand the EU has many bodies and instruments available to its members.
Yes, of course. There is Europol, Eurojust, or the European Arrest Warrant. And these tools support judicial cooperation and coordination. And this is essential because we need to know of the victim and the perpetrators connect through which human trafficking network. And it's really important, this cooperation, because the human trafficking is a feature of daily life, and even in the UK. And for instance, only last month, police have uncovered a cannabis farm at an industrial unit in Glasgow, in which there were 3 potential victims that were coming from Southeast Asia. So it's really the cooperation between the states that is really important, and Brexit could endanger this.
Well, thank you, Lèna, for your expertise on this subject. I now turn over to you, Lola. Well, hello, firstly.
Good morning.
Firstly, could you remind us how animal transportation is regulated under EU law?
Because farm animals are considered agricultural goods in the EU, they can be subjected to hours-long transportation across several countries. Article 13 of the TFEU therefore imposes a legal obligation upon member states to take into consideration the sentience of animals when implementing policies in certain fields, for instance, agriculture, transport, or the internal market.
So taking into consideration the sentience of animal being is actually a good thing in the implementation of transportation policies?
Yes and no. The EU Commission characterizes sentient beings as beings capable of feeling pleasure and pain. However, the problem is that under the current European Union single market rules, farm animals are treated as goods rather than sentient beings. Consequently, member states are not allowed to ban live animal transportation, as it would be contrary to EU trade rule, and especially Article 34 and 35 of the TFEU, which prohibits quantitative restrictions on import and exports.
So what is the UK's position on the transportation of farm animals?
Several attempts to ban live animal transportation have been launched in the UK. The most famous one happened in 2012 in the port of Ramsgate, after 40 ships were discovered sick and in great suffering in a truck carrying livestock. and they had to be euthanized. Following this event, Thanet District Council decided to temporarily ban and suspend live animal exports from the port. However, in 2014, the High Court of Justice ruled that such measure was contrary to EU law and was a breach of the free movement of goods and a breach of Article 35 of the TFEU, which prohibits quantitative restriction on exports.
I see. So how will Brexit then impact the transportation of farm animals in the UK?
Leaving the EU means that the UK could potentially ban live animal transportation. However, if the UK decides to go through with this idea, it will have to justify this prohibition under the exception contained in Article 20 of the General Agreement on Trade and Tariff.
Well, Brexit sounds like a great opportunity to improve animal welfare. Is there any way it could actually impact it negatively?
Unfortunately, yes. If the UK decides not to ban live animal transportation and no deal is found with the EU, leaving the EU means a loss of access to enforcement institution and advisory body for the UK. For instance, the Trade Control and Expert System, TRACES, which is a veterinary network ensuring the traceability of animal products and live animals during their import and export in and outside the EU. In addition, the Food Safety Authority is responsible for risk assessment in the field of foodstuff. To complete its mission, the European Food Safety Authority must, among other things, assess animal welfare and health. If no equivalent institutions are set up in the United Kingdom after Brexit, there is a high risk of lower animal standards in the United Kingdom.
Well, I thank you both for your expertise on those very important topics.
Thank you.
That is all the time we have for today. I hope you enjoyed today's episode of EU Deal After Brexit. If you want to learn more on the impact of Brexit, you can find other episodes on our channel. Thank you.